What is up, and welcome or welcome back. My name is Bo, and I'm the TheKjnTowboater. Today I will be counting down my top 5 PlayStation 1 games. Just a heads up, this is my list. I'm not saying these are the best PS1 games ever, they're just my favorite due to nostalgia and how I felt playing them growing up. Before we get started with the countdown, I need to say this. The reason this is a top 5 list and not a top 10 list is because growing up, we were a Nintendo family, and besides Atari and some of my friends having a Sega Genesis, Nintendo is all we ever really owned by the time the PlayStation was released by Sony in 1995. I didn't get a chance to play any PlayStation games until I was in high school, in the early 2000s, around the time the PlayStation 2 was released. So I only played a handful of games that made me like the PlayStation, but not as much as the PlayStation 2 made me like Sony's gaming console. The PlayStation came about due to Sony's failed collaboration with Nintendo to create a CD-ROM add-on for the SNES. Just think of the 64DD, but for the Super Nintendo. Sony put a lot of emphasis on 3D graphics for the console, and it designed the game production to be streamlined and inclusive, enticing the support of third-party developers. As I stated in my top 10 Nintendo 64 video, the PS1, side note here, just known as the PlayStation or PSX at the time, and it wasn't until years later that the 1 would be added behind the PlayStation name, but I digress, was part of the 5th generation of console wars, competing against the Nintendo 64 and the Sega Saturn, not the Dreamcast like I wrongfully stated in the Nintendo 64 video. Well, let's just say Sony's PlayStation blew the competition out the water and solidified its position in the home video game console market. I won't go too much more into the history, but I will say this. If it wasn't for a good friend letting me borrow his PlayStation over the span of a Christmas break, I would have never discovered these games and would have never known what I was missing. So now, let's get started with the countdown. 1 was a linear 3D platform shooter. It had a camera system that would automatically shift perspectives with the action, and let me tell you, sometimes that would help and work out for the best of the gameplay, and sometimes it would really screw you up. The constant missiles and explosions being hurled at you can get a bit overwhelming, but it makes for a fun, fast-paced game that keeps you on your toes. Your character has an arm cannon that can be used for combat, or you can use more traditional combat methods like punching and kicking and using those to make combos. I honestly forgot where I picked this game up from, whether it was eBay or borrowing it from a friend and they just never asked for it back, but it quickly became one of my favorites, mainly because of the simplicity of the gameplay. Not because I sucked at video games, but at that point in my teenage years, I was just tired of always thinking in school, and this game helped me escape that by just running, dodging explosions, and just holding down the firing button to destroy all enemies on the screen. It was simple, but could be complex at the same time if you don't pay attention to the debris exploding all over. This is by far the best game for the PS1, but it was great to me. It was a shoot 'em up that brought me back to the days of playing Guerrilla War on the NES, but in 3D. It has 6 levels, and every level has a boss at the end. You know, the typical gaming scenario. To say this game was hard would be a lie. It was mid-difficulty at best, but if you want it to be really easy, just put in the cheat codes and wreak havoc all over the screen. Like I said, it wasn't the best or hardest game, but it made for a fun time when all you want to do is explode things on the screen. While I didn't play Driver 2 as much as my little brother, I still played it a lot. It was Grand Theft Auto before GTA 3 did it better, in my opinion. Now, this is still a great game to me, but once GTA went from top-down view to full 3D, they were unstoppable. Instead of a criminal or a street thug, you play as an undercover cop named John Tanner, who is tracking Pink Lenny. The missions can range from easy to hard, but I remember the Chase the Gunman mission being the most difficult, especially having to deal with the other cars that are in your way, the time, and the collision mechanics as well. You get a wide range of weapons, from handguns, ARs, machine guns, and grenades as well, and the mission difficulty can be challenging, especially the undercover ones. I never beat the game, but if my memory serves me well, my brother beat the game a few times. I never beat it probably due to the difficulty, but also this wasn't my typical type of game to play. Don't get me wrong, I still like playing it. It just wasn't one of the ones I chose first on my list. The car handling was pretty realistic. You really had to slow down for some of the turns or you would end up flipping. Also, while doing research for this video, I noticed many people have said that the gameplay at times felt unfair, from unexpected police encounters to some situations being very difficult to escape. Although I didn't play this game as often as my brother, and I'm surprised that with the mature content and T for teen rating that our mom actually bought this game for my brother when he was 12, but she wouldn't buy him GTA San Andreas when he was 16. It really baffles me. This was still a fun game in my opinion, and one I remember fondly when thinking back about the times my brother and I would just sit in our rooms taking turns playing video games. But it still wasn't my favorite. Tomba. What can I say about this game besides that I love it for some weird reason? It's an action-adventure platforming game with some RPG elements mixed in, where you run around as a pink-haired feral child named Tomba, searching for a gold bracelet that was stolen by a group of coma pigs, the underlings for the 7 evil pigs, the big bads of the game. Looking back on it, what kid wouldn't like jumping around beating up pitchfork-wielding pigs or pterodactyls guarding huge eggs with tiny chickens in them? First time I played this game was on a PS1 demo disc. That's right, kids. In the late 90s and early 2000s, companies used to mail household demo discs for internet and things like that, but many food places like Pizza Hut or some gaming magazines used to give out discs with half or one full level of a game that they wanted you to test out and have your parents go out and buy. But once again, I digress. I must have played the demo disc over and over again until I found a friend that actually owned Tomba and let me borrow it for a few weeks. The graphics were pretty good and the side scrolling was great, especially being able to jump between the foreground and background in certain areas. The weapons were cool, and the way you could jump on the enemies and then toss them at each other or objects was a good mechanic as well. Now, I never actually beat the game. Came close to it, but never did. I did enjoy exploring the world the game built. Even though it isn't an open world game, I enjoyed the gameplay mechanics and the music. The vibrant colors really caught my short attention span and kept me pretty busy playing it. So I'm really surprised that I didn't beat the game. The most likely reason was I probably was punished from my system for getting bad report card or doing something other idiotic teenage bullshit that I shouldn't have been doing. While typing out this script, I decided to look up Tomba for shits and giggles on the PlayStation Store, and to my surprise, Limited Run Games released an enhanced version in August of 2024 for not only the PS5, but for Nintendo Switch and Windows as well. So I had to buy it, and I definitely will be streaming it at some point. This game isn't the best, but it was fun, and its gameplay made for a fun challenge. I can't wait to start playing the enhanced version and show my son many of these games that I played as a child. I still get a kick out of the fact that he asked me if I played Fortnite when I was his age, to which I had to respond with, when I was your age, buddy, not only did Fortnite not exist, but we didn't even have internet in our house either. Legend of Legaia. This game. Man, this game was just as amazing as my number one. It was a hard decision between these two to place them. This one ended up being my number 2. I couldn't let my number 1 be placed any lower. Legend of Legaia is a JRPG developed by Procyon and published by Sony Computer Entertainment for the PlayStation. And man, I wish they would have they would do a HD remake, just because this game would look amazing in HD. RUHD. The turn-based combat system was more than just an attack command selection. It was revolutionary. You actually had to enter the different directions of high, low, left, right for the characters to perform their attacks. If you would enter the correct directional sequences, the characters would perform special moves called arts. Your characters would perform the regular arts, and that would restore AP, art points, or how I called them when I was younger, art power. Or they would perform their hyper arts, super arts, or miracle arts that cost a certain amount of AP. Set in a fantasy world, humans exist alongside creatures called Seru, that when worn by a human gives them different kinds of superpowers depending on the Seru's elemental type. Until one day a mysterious mist appears that ends up corrupting the Seru and corrupting the people wearing them once exposed to the mist. You start off controlling Vaughn, a teen on the age of manhood living in the village of Rim Elm, a village that is protected from the mist by a large wall that keeps it from entering. And then one evening, the wall is broken. The village is overrun by Seru, and Vaughn must make his way to the Genesis tree with the help of Meta, a Ra-Seru, a Seru that is immune to the mist and can absorb the elemental Seru and use their powers by allowing their partner to summon them using MP, magic points. Meta attaches himself to Vaughn's wrist, and they awaken the Genesis tree, which drives away the mist in that area. Meta then tells Vaughn that there are other Genesis trees that need to be awakened, and then Vaughn sets out on a quest to awaken them. Throughout your journey, 2 more people join your party. Noah, a girl raised by a wolf that has the Ra-Seru Terra attached to its head, and Gala, a monk of the Byron Monastery who ultimately gets kicked out of the monastery for reluctantly bonding with the Ra-Seru Ozma. Side note, you can also rename these characters as well, but for the story's sake, I'm just going to stick with Vaughn, Noah, and Gala, because that's the names they're given before you change them. Along with the combat system and the Ra-Seru magic, you also pick up items along the way. Items that heal health, restore MP, cure different types of poison statuses, restore life once a character is knocked, different elixirs, transportation items, books that give each character hyper arts, and so much more. As you progress through the story, your characters gain XP and level up. As you revive Genesis trees, the Ra-Serus level up as well, growing larger and changing and creating a sort of built-in weapon on the hand that they are attached to. And the more times you summon a Seru with the help of your Ra-Seru, that Seru will level up as well. Before I continue, just a little side note, I love the way that the sprites look in the overworld view whenever you're just walking around before you start a battle. Alright, back to your regularly scheduled video. I'm not going too much more into the story, but it is a big story on one disc, unlike some of the other PS1 games that had to be on multiple discs. I purchased this game. Actually, I begged my mom to get it off of eBay and I would pay her back for it. I was a kid. I didn't have a bank account at my fingertips like nowadays, because I was looking for a game that would give me the same type of feeling of adventure as Ocarina of Time, and boy did it do just that. Just in a different type of way. The story was so immersive and the combat system was new and fresh, and the fact that you can absorb and summon monsters was amazing to my 14-year-old brain. The fact that you can absorb elemental monsters was amazing to me, but also frustrating at the same time, because you could run into a certain one that you hadn't absorbed yet, and it was just a flip of the coin if your Ra-Seru was going to absorb it or not. The elements are fire, wind, thunder, light, dark, earth, and water. And as you start your journey, you'd face smaller elemental Seru, and then as you progress throughout the game, you would face bigger elemental Seru and the higher levels of the previous Seru as well. But the Seru weren't the only ones with elemental attributes. Your party had them too. Vaughn was linked to Meta, which was a fire Ra-Seru. Noah was linked to Terra, which was a wind Ra-Seru. And Gala was linked to Ozma, which was a thunder Ra-Seru. Throughout the game, you face bosses and destroy mist generators, and you get a glimpse of some Ra-Seru eggs dying, and that always had me wondering if there were plans to add more people to your party when the game was being developed. I also enjoyed the fact that when you upgraded or switched up your armor or weapons, that it would change the armor or weapons you chose when you entered into a battle. Just like the Legend of Zelda series, one thing that drew me to Legend of Legaia was the music. I might butcher this. Michiru Oshima is the composer of the game. Has composed many games, including the Legaia sequel, Legaia 2 Duel Saga, along with some movies and anime shows. The way the music puts you into this game, with the battle music and even the different locations have their own music, and it just fits so well. I even have the soundtrack downloaded on my computer still. I can't praise the music for this game enough. I still have my copy of Legend of Legaia and play it and plan on showing my son the game one day soon. I bought a Game Shark after beating it for the first time just to see how quickly I can beat it with max stats. But the feeling of grinding XP just to make sure that the first time you face a boss will be the only time you face the boss feels so much better than cheating. And trust me, you will definitely have to grind for the XP. This game doesn't hold your hand once you go through the combat tutorials. And I can't forget the CGI rendering cutscenes back when graphics of the cut screens were movie quality, but the game graphics had the characters looking like blockheads. I love the fact that even though it can be pretty repetitive, it still feels so magical playing it for the 50th time like it felt when I played it for the first time. And that's all I really want out of any game I play. That might be why I gave up on Animal Crossing New Horizons, but once again, I digress. And now here are some honorable mentions. Here we are at my number one, and it's The Legend of Dragoon, an amazing game. An amazingly hard 4-disc lone game, but amazing nonetheless. It was between this and Legend of Legaia for my top game for the PS1, but after putting my nostalgia glasses on and watching some YouTube videos along with doing some research on the two, Legend of Dragoon had to be my number one. Released in North America at the end of the PS1's life cycle, literally mere months before the PS2 was released. Inspired by the success of the Final Fantasy series, Sony wanted to create an RPG game and create one they did after 3 years of development. Instead of the typical attack, a quick time event was added known as additions. Instead of explaining it to you, I'll just show you right here.
Yes! Double lash! Quick smack! Double punch!
This game takes place in a fantasy world of, I'm probably going to mispronounce this, but Endiness, a world that has Middle Age aesthetics but many fantasy elements in it. It's a world filled with humans, dragons, and winglies. The dragons are the winged creatures that possess dragon spirits. Humans lived as farmers and merchants, and the winglies are an aggressive species that can fly. And about 10,000 years before the start of this game, they enslaved the humans. With the help of the dragons giving humans dragon spirits, the humans became dragoons and defeated the winglies, and now they live in relative peace. You take control of the main protagonist, Dart. He's a warrior searching for the Black Monster, a monster that attacked and destroyed Neat, his and Shanna's village, killing many and killing the child that it thought was the Moon Child, but ended up killing the wrong child. Throughout your adventure, your party grows to a pretty decent size. You have Lavitz, a knight of the Kingdom of Basil, Shanna, a childhood friend and love interest of Dart, Rose, a warrior that teaches Dart how to fight as a dragoon, Muru, a wingly, Hatchel, I think I pronounced that correctly, an elderly warrior that is searching for his daughter, and Kongo, one of the last of his species known as Gigantos. Dart is recognized by the red-eyed dragoon spirit. Shanna is recognized by the white-silver dragoon spirit. Lavitz is recognized by the jade dragoon spirit. Rose is recognized by the darkness dragoon spirit. Hastrel is recognized by the violet dragoon spirit. Meru is recognized by the blue sea dragoon spirit. And Congo is recognized by the golden dragoon spirit. Later in your journey, Labus is replaced by the king of Basil, Albert, who is recognized by the jade dragoon spirit. And Shanna is replaced by Miranda, who is recognized by the white silver dragoon spirit. Lastly, near the end, Dart is recognized by the divine dragoon spirit. And here is what he looks like transforming into the divine dragoon. Couldn't find a picture of him. The world building is amazing to me. You get to explore a lot being the game is spread out across 4 discs. You get to see different species and so many types of enemies. Even though the graphics of the game made almost 30 years ago are considered horrible in this day and age, I still love the design of all the different kingdoms that you visit. Some are beautiful, some are desolate, but either way, they are all designed amazingly. As you play, you gain XP and level up. You also level up your Dragoon farm as well, and you also gain more additions for your characters throughout the gameplay. Although you have 7 characters in your party, you can only choose 2 others that will battle with Dart. You can't change out Dart, he is always the main one in your party. Just like in Legend of Legaia, the cutscenes are CGI movie quality that are beautiful, and just like Legend of Zelda and Legend of Legaia, I not only fell in love with this game, I fell in love with the music as well. If you haven't guessed it by now, I love music. I take that back. Let me fix it. I love good music, and when it comes to any Zelda soundtrack, Legend of Legaia soundtrack, or this game's soundtrack, I can honestly say they are filled with good music. In RPG games like these, the music is a huge part of the world building. I mean, would you really keep playing a game with no music, no battle music, no boss defeating music, no music playing in the cities, or even worse, the same song over and over throughout different levels? I know I wouldn't, but these games have so many different tracks that make their mark on these games. Before I bought this game and a PS1, I had a friend that not only let me borrow his game, but also let me borrow his PS1 as well, during my senior year towards the end of 2003 and the beginning of 2004. And when my week was up, I had to return it back to him. Once he asked how far I had gotten, and once he found out that I was on the 3rd disc after just playing it for a week, he let me continue to borrow it until I beat it. And it definitely didn't take me long after that. I was on a mission to complete that game. I was hooked. This game was an escape for me during a time that my family was struggling. My mom, dad, little brother, and I were living in a tiny little camper that my grandparents owned. It wasn't fun at all. But like I said, I immersed myself in this world to escape my worries in the real world. Now that I own the game and a PS1, and own it through the PlayStation Classic Collection on PS5, I can enjoy playing it whenever I can. But the problem is, I haven't played it in a while. I have so many games that I've bought and haven't finished or even started yet. I will get back to it soon, and I want to play it while streaming and plan on doing that. Not sure which one I want to stream first, this one or Tomba. Overall, this game brings back some good memories, even though I played it during some not good times. I definitely wish it would have gotten a sequel, or now, an HD or Ultra HD remake. I would buy it in a heartbeat, and probably ignore Fortnite and Phasmophobia until I'm done with it. This game is just that amazing. And there you have it. This has been my top 5 PlayStation 1 games. Once again, this is my list and mine alone. Comment down below your list. I would love to know everyone else's top 5 or 10. If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Also, let me know which system you'd like me to do a top 5 or top 10 for next. I can go from Atari 2600 all the way to the PS5. I am currently working on my top 10 Nintendo Entertainment System games as well. If you like podcasts, go ahead and search for Two Old Cajuns Nerd Out on YouTube. That's Cajun with a C. Or click the link in the description to listen to mine and Cajun Toy Reviews podcast. If you would like to message me and follow me, you can search Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram for TheKjnTowboater. That is my social medias. I'm always on those, especially when I'm at work and we have downtime. I do stream on the 2 weeks that I'm home off of work. I stream Phasmophobia, Fortnite, and Call of Duty. And I do plan on streaming The Other Side, which is kind of like a Phasmophobia game. I plan on streaming more retro games too, but you can watch me stream on TikTok, Twitch, or YouTube. Just search TheKjnTowboater for these. My wife and I have a React channel that we're working on getting more videos out on. If you search Allie and Bo's Home Theater on YouTube, or click the link in the description, you can subscribe to us on there. Once again, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and most of all, thank you for everything. And as always, I will see you in the next one.